Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from AnthonysCustoms, and for this review we are looking at the STALKER Predator from NECA's Series 16 of the Kenner Remake Predator figure. So this guy is probably the most 90s of all of these remade figures. He's glow-in-the-dark with armor and horns. It's definitely not a traditional Predator look, but it's a Kenner remake. So that's what we have here. And I've heard from somebody who had the original one that this is a nice, faithful recreation of that. It brings back the feels. So that's a good thing. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 8¼ inches tall to the top of his head, which makes him just about 21 centimeters. So he does seem to be just a tiny bit shorter than the other guys in the bunch. And out of my personal preference, he's probably not the most appealing just because the glow-in-the-dark doesn't look good unless it's glowing in the dark, but that's what it's supposed to be, so we're just going to set that aside. I can't fault it for being what it is supposed to be. He is at the same price point at the other ones. Of course, he has a little bit less paint on him due to the glow-in-the-dark, but they did do a pretty cool job with the shading on his face. I think that's kind of nice, the way they did that dry brush to give him the texturing, but it's still glow-in-the-dark, and the eyes are definitely left alone so that they should glow pretty nicely. Of course, you're going to really need to bake this guy with some sunlight or some artificial light to make him glow effectively in places like the eyes, but it does work. I was able to do that, and hopefully I can get a photo for you guys so you can see it. But it does look pretty cool. It reminds me very much of the 90s, so I'm happy about that. So no paintwork on the body so much, except for the armor, which is nicely done. You can see we have the xenomorph mold, I guess, for the chest piece, which looks pretty cool. And there's lots of like bronze dry brushing on top of the darker brown, and then there's lots of actual painted bronze coloring. So it looks pretty cool. It's not too bad. As far as accessories go, he gets 2 small spears, which are the same thing as the big one, I guess, just retracted. Then we have the big one, which is fully expanded. He does have an alternate hand for, I guess, a spear throwing pose. I'm not sure, but we do have that. And of course he comes with his helmet, which does feature the glow-in-the-dark horns on top of the pretty nicely painted faceplate. Now as far as articulation goes, the head is on the same ball peg as you would expect, so you get pretty good range. It's not limited too much by this back piece. The hair doesn't want to stop too badly. It kind of just pushes around it, so it's not a problem really. It's a little bit limiting, but not too bad. The head will look up just a tiny bit, down pretty far, not too bad, and then you can lean it side to side, so that's okay. For the shoulders, it's standard ball hinge. The armor is on the bicep area, so it won't get in the way. Full rotation, you can bring the arm up, yeah, almost all the way, but not quite, because this does get in the way a little bit. You're going to have to kind of force it if you want it to go any higher, but it can go. Just be careful. You don't want to break anything. You have your bicep swivel right there, which is nice because when you rotate the arm, the shoulder pad goes with it and it looks pretty good. You have your double jointed elbow, which works nicely. You get good range, no problems there. You have a swivel for the gauntlet right there, and then you have your ball peg for the wrists. Now for some reason this guy's ball pegs stick out a little bit too far. So the wrists have better range, but you can see the ball peg. That's a bit of a disappointment. You can see it's not the most aesthetically pleasing. And in fact, this one pops off too easily. And I'm not sure if this is going to be a universal issue, but my ball peg is not a peg, it's just a flat spot. So I'm not sure if that piece was inserted incorrectly on mine. That's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing the peg is actually inside the arm where this part should be. Hopefully that won't be the case for you guys. The hand still holds on, but it falls off a little bit too easily and does stick out too far. So that's not ideal. We do have an ab crunch ball hinge type situation, as all the other ones do, but this armor, while it is soft, it does limit it almost completely, and you can't really use anything but the waist. So it's not a big deal, but he's not going to have the most range. You'll still be able to rotate it around, lean it a little bit, but not that much. This is all soft, so it's going to get out of the way a little bit, but it's still fairly thick, so you're going to have to kind of be aware of it when you're posing. You can still bring the leg up pretty far, not incredibly far, but probably far enough. You can bring the leg out to the side, surprisingly well, because these are 2 separate pieces for the armor over here, so it allows for the leg to come out surprisingly far. I don't know if you're going to need to put them in the splits, but you almost can if you want to. You have your thigh swivel in there as well, so that's good. Double jointed knee, pretty much unrestricted, no problems there. And then lastly, we have our ankle, which is just a ball peg. It's pretty limited, definitely could be better, but it does afford at least some posability. Now, one more accessory that I didn't mention is this, which is like, it looks like a little holster because it's open, and it pegs in down here. Now, I don't know if that's just a throwback to the Kenner figure or what. You guys can let me know if you know more about that than I do, but it does just peg on right there, and I don't know what you're supposed to put in it, but it is there. Last thing I want to mention is his backpack thing right here does have little grippy things for the spears, so you can stick the 2 small spears in there if you want to, and they do hold, so that's pretty cool. I guess there's one other thing I just thought of. This hand doesn't hold the spears. It's open too wide. This one holds them no problem. This one, they will slide right through, so that's kind of a bummer. So all in all, this guy's very gimmicky in that he glows in the dark, which is what he's supposed to do, but he has a few flaws that I think are probably too many. A few flaws too many. Yes, it's a nice price point for what you're getting, but still probably too many flaws. If they're universal, I have to say he's probably not one of the better ones of the bunch. So you can decide if you want to get it based on nostalgia or maybe pass on it based on the issues it has. So there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day, so make sure you come back for that. And make sure you give the video a like if you did. That does help me out a whole bunch. So make sure you come back for all the fun stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.